Well, welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video, and today is the last of the unbox videos of the 3 packages I got in a couple days ago. So another unbox video today, and I kind of pre-unboxed this one, so it kind of goes a little bit quicker at the beginning. But such a classic comic book, this unbox video is. It's a Wolverine comic, as the title says, CGC 9.8 Blue Label comic. And for like Wolverine 1980s comics, this is probably as like classic as it gets, and such a popular issue, this issue as well. So let's get right to it here, and I invite you, before we open the package here, to join the team and subscribe to Team CGC 9.8 here. I'd love to have you on the team, and when you press subscribe, the bell pops up. Hit the bell. You'll get all my latest notifications for all my videos I'm doing. That would be so appreciated if you did that. Add me on Instagram and Twitter as well. I'm pretty active on those platforms. So, a Wolverine comic book, a CGC 9.8 book, Blue Label. Such a classic 1980s cover. So happy to grab this book. I bought it on an eBay auction from one of my more favorite sellers as well. So, good price, good shipping to Canada. Kind of one that all worked out. Didn't have any import duties at the door or anything. Okay, so haven't saw it yet. Kind of easy packaging too. Nice packaging with packaging beads in it. So let's just get it right out. Looked really good in the pictures, so I'm expecting. Had this seller before. Packaging is always good, so expecting nice things. And yeah, right off the bat, looking so nice. Yeah, such a classic comic book. Such a classic Wolverine issue, and you may have guessed it, but the comic book I ended up picking up, CGC 9.8 version of Wolverine Limited Series number 1. So this is the first solo Wolverine comic. Frank Miller does the story, and Chris Claremont does the story. Frank Miller does the art. Yeah, with Joe Rubenstein. Classic cover. It's, in some ways a bit of a love-or-hate cover because. But for me, I love it, and it's, really simple. Some people don't like Frank Miller's style right off the bat. Very simple. But such a classic cover. And, looking on the CGC census, I was really surprised at just how many there were. And it really shows just how popular this issue is, how popular Wolverine is. It's, first solo Wolverine comic ever. And Yukio cameo is on the last page as well. But classic cover that, a lot of Wolverine fans know and love to see. There's, facsimiles and reprints of this cover now. Looking on the CGC census, though, pretty surprised here. There are 2,525 of these in the CGC 9.8. And for like a 1982 book, that's quite a lot. Surprisingly quite a lot, especially for, a comic that's called Limited Series, But I think, right from the beginning, collectors must have really kept this book in shape. Maybe because, it was the first sort of like, there was other limited series before, like even in the Silver Age, there was some limited series as well. But maybe just the collectors really kept this in good shape, right from the bat. Because so many 9.8s, 2,525, as I said. Something really cool, there are 27 9.9s and 3 10s. And from a 1982's book, you almost never see that. I'm a big collector of kind of Amazing Spider-Man, Batman, Star Wars, and usually you just do not see like 9.9s and 10s in like early 80s books, especially from kind of where I have my eyes on, as I said, in Amazing Spider-Man and Batman. Usually, in the early 90s, there tends to be some 9.9s and 10s because there were so many printed. But yeah, wow, really surprised that there's 27 9.9s and 3 10s. So the CGC 9.8 ratio, do that really quick, 21%. So 21% of all graded copies of Wolverine Limited Series are 9.8s. And that's about bang on average, I would say. It's not relatively super rare, but it's not, relatively very common either. For early 80s, maybe that's a little bit higher. Usually in early 80s, they're starting to, kick down to 15 to 10%. I know Amazing Spider-Man 238, First Hobgoblin, which is a book I have, That's about 8%, the CGC 9.8 ratio. I believe that's like an 83 book, 82, 83. So similar year, this one's 21%. The lower the better. So this one not as rare as Amazing Spider-Man 238 First Hobgoblin. But such a classic issue, this one. It's, for me, buying this issue was an opportunistic buy. I didn't have it like on my watch list as, a book that I, really, really wanted out of like, my top 4 or 5 books that I really wanted. But, again, I got 4 or 5 kind of favorite sellers that post auctions every now and then, CGC 9.8 books. And, this one was posted, if you notice, like really nicely centered, terrific colors. Just a really good example. Yeah, let me take a quick look at it because honestly I haven't even seen it yet. And the pictures, it looked great. And honestly, yeah, it really transfers over really nice. It looks awesome. Looks great. Yeah, super crisp. Yeah, it's so flat. Like it almost seems like it might have been pressed. Super white pages, super flat. Very good example. Crisp colors. And that's kind of why I bid on it. I kind of looked at this. I've seen Wolverine, seen this book a lot, and I was like, wow, great book. Like, if I totally would love to have that in my collection. But saw this one pop up on an auction from one of my good sellers, and looked around on eBay, and pretty much every other copy of this on eBay was off-centered, dimmer colors. So this was just a pristine issue on eBay at the time, and yeah, just decided to take a stab at it. Price wise, I ended up paying $276 for this comic, and funny thing is my bid was $276, so I think someone bid $275, which is that's a competitive but full price for the book. It's not like there's buy it nows for $300, $325, $350, but usually in an auction, if it's a really nice copy, it'll go for about $275. Sometimes you'll see them go for $250. Maybe even in an old case, a little bit lower than $250 in like maybe a more obscure auction. But so somebody bid $275, I believe. I bid $276. That was the exact winning bid. I had to pay $276, and that usually never happens. Usually, you win based on like the last highest bidder, whoever was the last highest bidder, whatever price that was. But yeah, this is one of the first times where my actual bid was the bid that I had to pay. So $276 US for a really nice Wolverine #1 limited series. Yeah, and with this book, 2,525 CGC 9.8s. It's not, that's I can see why it's $275, because just if you kind of look at the book and first solo Wolverine, great cover. Oh my God, like this is probably like $400, $450. But yeah, they're right around that $250 to $275 mark in auctions. And it's because there's 2,525 of them. There's a lot of them. So, what I would recommend, I still would recommend to buy this book. Wolverine's so popular. This one sells really quick. It's going to, if you needed to sell it, you could sell it really quick for a good price. But what I would do with books that have a lot, and what I always recommend that have a lot of 9.8s, is just be really patient. Look for ones with great colors and great centering. And buy, put in good, strong bids to, and be patient and wait for auctions and put in kind of a good, strong bid. And usually you'll take those kind of books down. And because they have really good centering and colors, they'll be a little bit easier on the way out to sell as well. But yes, you know what? An opportunistic buy for me for sure. Wasn't on my watch list. But yeah, so happy to have it in my collection. Goes really well. I got a lot of Wolverine. That sort of late 80s, 90s series. I got a lot of keys from that. So this is going to fit right in with those books. Yeah, Wolverine Limited Series, #1. Yeah, a lot on the CGC census. I was pretty surprised by that. But, when the opportunity came up and just seeing how, like, perfectly centered the issue was and how the coloring on the issue was really good. And, $275, $276 for such a classic issue, I think, is a decent price. And yeah, I actually hadn't looked on the CGC census before I purchased the book, which is something usually I do. Usually I always do, actually. A lot of times I'm looking on the census and getting ideas for buys, but this one I didn't. and was pretty surprised that there were 2,525 of them in the CGC 9.8. There's also like 600s or so signature series 9.8s as well, Frank Miller signature series books. So there's a lot of these out there, but Wolverine, such a, it's how Hulk 181, first appearance of Wolverine, has just blown up. For that same reason, I think all of sort of secondary Wolverine keys are going to do well over time. And, even like Punisher Limited Series #1 is another book that I really want personally, actually, in the CGC 9.8 Punisher Limited Series. And it's the same kind of thing, first Punisher is pretty unaffordable in a high grade, so, there's a lot, Punisher #1 Limited Series for the same reason. Wolverine #1 Limited Series is a good kind of second option for if you're on a bit more of a budget than those more expensive books. But yeah, really happy to add this to my collection and share the unbox with you guys. So thanks for watching. And if you haven't already, please join the team and subscribe to Team CGC 9.8 and hit the bell for all my latest notifications and new videos. And add me on Instagram and Twitter as well. That'd be super appreciated. Pretty active on there as well. Yeah, thanks for watching this unbox video, guys. And I will see you on the next video.